angry. Oh, we're back. Sorry, I want to introduce you to our guest. We're just having a conversation here. 13-year-old Jada Williams is here with us. Hi, Jada. How are you?
Good.
She's joined by her mother, Carla, and her father, John, and also Aisha Kroyitz is with us. She is the president of the Frederick Douglass Foundation of New York, and we were just talking about how much Frederick Douglass is just an amazing man. I want to start with you. This is my corrected copy of your essay, young lady. We have a few things to talk about. I wanted to bring it because when we first talked to you, we were trying to discover what you really were meaning. And I wrote, and I wanted to show you this, deep thinker, this is why she's misunderstood. It's over the heads of most people. They think linear in terms and not out of the box. And I got that from one of the first lines that you wrote. You said that you found yourself looking up all the words, yes. Right? And then you had to go back and read it a second time.
Yes.
And you asked this question. You said, then you started to feel you were reading something that was brutal and degrading to African Americans. And I myself began to question as to why the Rochester City School District would supply us with a novel that would evoke such emotions. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that was, did they actually read the book themselves? And why would they give us the book? And when all of this happened, now they didn't expect for me to write such things like this. So,
because what I read from that is I thought, what I got out of this was you have white teachers, because you go on and talk about the white teachers. This white teachers making you hate white people, right? I mean, wouldn't you hate? I mean, if you're reading this and you think these white teachers have screwed me. I mean, I don't know any of my history, so it'd be white teachers teaching you to hate white people, which is the exact opposite of what the racism charge is. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. And then you say they're not doing their jobs. Why would they even will they even consider my thoughts and options?
Opinions.
Yeah, your opinions. You found out that they didn't want your opinion.
Yes.
Right? Take me through the timeline. They said, write. Did you pick the book or did they assign it?
The district picked the book.
Okay. They picked the book, then you went and you read it. You said you had to read it a couple of times.
Yes.
How long did it take you to write this essay?
A couple of days.
A couple of days.
Yes.
Were you guys struggling with her? Because I've read, you read old-timey stuff, and it's like you read Washington, and he's using words that are like 1,400 syllables, and you're like, what? I don't even know what that word means.
Yeah, she was actually like reading it independently, and so then she got stumped. So she came to me and she said, Mom, could you help me read this book? And I'm like, sure, And so that's why the second time came through, because, she would read a chapter, I would read a chapter, and whatever she didn't understand, I'm like, go get the dictionary, go do what you need to do so that you can, further educate yourself. So.
Okay, so then what happened? You turned it into the teacher, and
Yes.
It wasn't you didn't have a problem with the teacher, the English teacher.
No.
You said in a meeting, was it just the two of you, or was it the whole family?
It was just the two of us.
Just the two,
Yes.
You and the teacher, the English teacher. And what did you say?
I told her that it wasn't her, it was the social studies teacher. And she told me not to talk about her colleague. And so after that, she asked, did I have any black teachers? And I told her yes, and the conversation was over. And when I got home, I told my mom what happened, and she basically took over after that.
Okay. So what did you do?
Well, the next day, I actually received a phone call from the assistant principal, and he was saying that, we're getting ready to put Jada in school suspension because she's misbehaving. And I said, really? I said, she's misbehaving about what? And so he said, well, she's not talking to me. So I said, well, is Jada with you? And he said, yes. So I said, could I talk to her? And so she got on the phone, and I said, Jada, tell me what's going on. And she said, well, Mom, a boy just shot a chair at me and now they're kicking me out of class. And I said, what class was this? And it was a social studies teacher's class. So I said, okay, I understand what's going on now, because she told me the day before about the conversation with the English teacher.
So did the English teacher tell the social studies teacher?
She admitted that in the second meeting, yes.
Okay. Then they called, because they started calling you at work?
Yes, they started calling me at work.
What happened?
Just the same thing, telling her that she's misbehaving, she's rude.
How often were you getting these calls?
We never received the phone calls before then, but after the essay, it just started coming in.
Okay. So then they say you have to have a meeting.
Well, I requested the meeting.
You requested?
Yes, I did, because I wanted to confront both of those teachers, because I needed to know what was their issue with Jada, and I needed the phone calls to stop. So I did. I insisted that we have a meeting, and let's talk about it.
What happened at the meeting?
It was unresolved. It was unresolved. She felt like she actually left out of the meeting, because when I asked her, I said, you know, could you tell me why you were offended? And she said, because Jada lumped me in. And I said, well, give me some clarification, because I don't know what that means, lumped you in. I said, because I read her essay, and I said, and she never said your name in the essay. So I said, why do you feel like she lumped you in? So she could never really express to me as to what she meant by that. And so then she left the meeting because she said that she had a PD to attend, so she rushed out of the meeting. So it's a professional development.
Is this the meeting where there were about 10 of them?
No, that was the second meeting.
Okay, so who called that one?
My husband requested that meeting because he was starting to get phone calls too as well.
Okay, so you called the meeting, and what happened there?
Just about the same thing. You know, we had, like you said, we had 10 people in there. And we just
Who were these 10 people?
Parent liaison, the Rochester teacher.
The vice president.
Vice president of the teachers union.
Yes.
What was the teachers union doing there?
I don't know, but she attended this meeting.
Maybe it would have gone on long, and they wanted to make sure the hours were all
I don't know. I don't know.
Time.
And also social worker, the principal, also the
social worker. What was the social worker there for?
Because they said that Jada was angry, and so that maybe she needs to speak to someone about that. So that's why they brought the social worker into it. And I told them that Jada's not an angry child. And they know that.
Did you say you weren't angry? Because I would have been pissed. I would have said, Jada needs a social worker? I think I need one right now. Okay, so how did that one end?
Just the same thing. They actually said that the meeting wasn't about the essay. They wanted to push aside the essay, and they said, let's just focus on Jada. We want to work on Jada. That's the angle that they took. And I said, work on Jada? In what way? I said, Jada doesn't need any work on, so what are we talking about here? So the parent liaison and the principal didn't see eye to eye. They actually were kind of getting into, you know, just a difference of opinions.
Is there any doubt in your mind that those 10 people and the teachers union, vice president of the teachers union, and the social worker that just wants to help you, that this was a moment of intimidation?
Absolutely. It was. It was very intimidating because, you know, the teacher said that she wanted a one-on-one with Jada because she wanted to talk to Jada. And so, but then she still wanted her rep to still be in the room when she was saying that she wanted to apologize to Jada. So I didn't feel that it was genuine.
Okay. There's more to this story, but I want to, before we go into the break, would you just read, we got about 2 minutes, can you read about 2 minutes of your essay, whichever part you think, but preferably a part that everybody was all upset about? What do you want to read? When did you come into the picture?
I came in at we gave them the award on February 18th, so I'd say it's probably about a week and a half after. It was way after this. She was very calm. They were so calm through the whole thing. And then I heard about the essay, and I was like, this is profound. Oh, my gosh, an eighth grader wrote this. So.
No, it's good. Okay, go ahead.
So, in closing, to my peers, people of color, and my generation, to try to achieve what has been established by the African Americans and abolitionists that paved the way for us to receive what's rightfully yours. Blood, sweat, and tears have been shed for us to obtain any goals which we may set for ourselves, never being afraid to excel and achieve because our ancestors have been bound for so long. We are free to learn. And my advice to my peers, people of color, and my generation, start making these white teachers accountable for instructing you. They choose this profession. They brag about their credentials. They brag about their tenure. So if you have so much experience, then find a more productive way to teach the so-called unteachable. They contain this document that states they have all this knowledge to teach. So show me what you know. Teach me your ways. What merit is there if you contain all this knowledge and not willing to share because of the color of my skin? To all of our surprise, we have the same warm red blood running through our veins, regardless of what race I may be. If you don't believe me, then poke me and poke a white man, and you will see. To my peers, people of color, and my generation, start asking questions, start doing the research, get involved. A grand price was paid in order for us to be where we are today. But in my mind, we should be a lot further. So again, I encourage the white teachers to instruct, and I encourage my people to not just be a student, but become a learner.
Back in a minute.